Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pac-South podcast on a slightly longer delay, but we are finally here with our season finale for the 2025 and 2026 athletic season. Pat, what a great year. This was like the first actual year of us having this pseudo-conference
Yeah.
and really our first like all together year here on the show. So that's a really fun milestone for us and also following along this first generation team. Um, I feel like this was a lot of fun. I loved having our different like sports and teams and obviously some of our own that we
hmm
followed even more closely this year in a South Carolina, a Providence, a UCF, and even an Oregon State. So pretty fun stuff there. We look forward to doing this again in 2026 or 2025. What year is it? 26,
26,
27.
27. There you go.
The one that comes after 25, 26. Looking forward to that, making it even bigger, more sports, a couple more teams. That will be great. But as for now, obviously the saga that has kind of held our show hostage for almost 2 months now. That is, unfortunately for him, the Brendan Sorsby saga. I feel like we finally met a conclusion, Pat.
Yeah.
More or less. I'll let you kind of dive into some of the more recent specifics there.
Yeah. I don't think that he's probably pretty stoked with this outcome here. I think this was probably like worst possible scenario for him. Where obviously since our last recording where we were kind of talking about like will the NCAA put their foot down, won't they? That type of thing. The NCAA did come out against the injunction, rule him ineligible. And another injunction was not filed on his behalf. So it seemed as if he was going to try and enter the NFL supplemental talent draft, which they were talking about having potentially. And then they
Mhm.
decided that's not going to happen. And since he wasn't declared for the draft, he couldn't sign anywhere as an undrafted free agent. So now he has to essentially find a trainer. I'm sure he's got a good quarterback coach,
Yeah.
being a Division One athlete, but find somewhere where he can work out with ideally high class athletes, right? Maybe guys who are trying to rehab off injury, maybe guys who are, let's say, like not working out at a D1 school and potentially looking to go to like JUCO or a small D2 next year, right? And they're already withdrawing from whatever schools they might be at. I think those are the type of guys that he's going to be working with to keep himself in shape for the 27 draft. Um, I mean, obviously, like he knew what he was doing when he made the
Mhm.
bets, but at the same time, you do kind of have to feel for the guy in the sense that um, if he had sort of known that all this stuff was going to come out, I'm sure he probably would have just declared himself for the draft. Even if he doesn't go drafted, he could still be signed during training camp and things like that.
Yeah.
But he went to Texas Tech to A, try and compete for a national championship, and B, obviously that nice little NIL paycheck. And it
Mhm.
just did not work out at all for Brennan Sorsby.
Yeah. And I mean, not only was he like sports betting, like, whatever, but like, I feel like there's a line to be made of he was betting for his teams and was
Right,
not
right.
uh, doing anything to like hurt the team's performance.
Yeah.
This was solely I think, and I want my team to
Uh-huh.
win. Um, there's certainly a gray area to it all. But it seemed like he was on the better side of that. But obviously,
He
not
lost
many
a lot
people.
too.
Yeah,
Like it's not like
not
he was
many.
making money on this.
No, no. Um, but yeah, I feel for the guy. I raised a question, and we talked about this right before the show started as well. Why not go to the UFL here? I
Yeah.
feel like this is the perfect situation for it. You have a guy who is either in between levels or he needs to stay in shape, and that's a great place for him to be in game shape. And you can't tell me like there's a couple good quarterbacks in the NFL, like Jordan Teamu has had a great career
Yeah.
in the UFL. A guy that definitely would not have made it in the NFL was really good in college and has found a place in that league and has played very well. So it's not to say that there aren't any good quarterbacks, but it's not really a quarterback rich league. I feel like that'd be a great place. A team could bring him in as essentially a loan, and I think that that would help them out a lot and help Brandon Sorsby really show his draft stock for the NFL and show these teams, hey, I got it, and hey, I'm cleaning up the off the field stuff too.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what I think. Maybe that will happen here soon. I mean, obviously, there's been so much information over Sorsby the last little bit. I mean, as of 3 weeks ago, he was going to go back to Texas Tech via the injunction. So, still a lot of opportunity for
Yeah,
Brandon
for sure,
Sorsby.
for sure.
But looks like we can hopefully put that to bed and we don't have to carry that over to next season. But maybe there's a chance. There is a chance we open up next season with a little Brandon Sorsby news too. So we'll see how that goes. But on to another part of our finale, the college baseball finale in the College World Series. And wow, once again, great baseball, incredible storylines. Kind of had to feel that between the Troy and the West Virginia kind of sweethearts there, something was going to finally end. We did see that. West Virginia played quite convincingly, though, up until they met North Carolina, who was, right there in position, one game away from winning the national title this year. So West Virginia, we made a good look there. North Carolina, I have to say, definitely shocked us. I mean, they were the 5th overall seed in the country, but for them to be one game away from the national title, we didn't really see that at any point during this postseason for the most part. I think the Tar Heels played quite well down the stretch and obviously when it mattered most.
Yeah, I mean, I think they sort of got it going when they needed to at Omaha. Like in both the regionals and the super regionals, I thought that they looked fairly beatable. Obviously, USC had a chance to beat them in the supers, supers, and just couldn't capitalize on that. So, I mean, kudos to North Carolina for figuring it out. Maybe it helped that the potential distraction of their coach theoretically being poached by South Carolina was then gone and out the window at that point, even though I don't really think there was a whole lot of traction to that narrative or traction to that story.
I think South Carolina was quite focused on what they were doing.
Yeah, I think South Carolina had their guy in mind, and I think he is currently the head coach. But it's always fun to see those types of fan theories get out there and sort of how they can spread, especially through social media so quickly. But yeah, shout out to North Carolina. Definitely shout out to Oklahoma for the way that they really, like, the second half of the year played out of their minds. Like, they were hovering around 500 for like a decent portion of the season. And then they just got crazy hot near the end of the year in SEC play.
Yeah, no, a massive congratulations to the Sooners. I feel like this team was very on par for the most part with Oklahoma athletics outside of softball and football, where you're a quite good team, but somehow you're still always playing around 500. Maybe you get streaky once or twice and have a good year, a la like Trae Young, Oklahoma. Obviously, this Oklahoma baseball team, like you're always kind of hovering around 500, and then you catch fire at a certain point. But like those sports usually are there. This Oklahoma team, as you said, second half of the year just really brought it on. But also, we're right there about to get eliminated in Atlanta. They were down multiple runs late. They come back in their regional against Georgia Tech and have the massive walk-off homer. And that, I truly believe, is what projected them to this national title. I said it for their super regional matchup, that home run alone was going to take them to Omaha. That momentum just carried them all the way through the the postseason. And I mean, they're champions, and they were toast. They were toast against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's a really good team, second best team in the country according to the postseason seeding, and Oklahoma knocks them out and wins the national title. So again, a massive congratulations to Oklahoma.
For sure.
First national title in baseball in school
Yes.
history.
Yes.
And I believe it's seven in a row, 8 in a row for the SEC.
Yeah. Yeah, the SEC
Yeah.
is on quite a heater right now. Obviously, LSU has been kind of like the top dog here recently for the
Mhm.
conference. But of course, Ole Miss and Mississippi State both had those great runs mixed in there as well.
Yeah, I think if you go back over the last 16 champions, I believe 10 of them are from the SEC. It may even be 11 because I believe it was South Carolina, Arizona, Virginia, Vandy, NC State,
Hmm.
Vandy.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
it's
lots of good
crazy.
ball in the SEC. And it's funny, obviously, South Carolina, that's now back 15 years ago. They're now on their third coaching change in that amount of time.
Hmm.
Interesting to see if they come back, and Vandy in kind of like hot water with Tim Corbin. They're not really playing
Yeah,
what we would consider Vanderbilt baseball lately.
which is kind of shocking because you think of Vanderbilt as this SEC powerhouse when it comes to baseball, but it'll be interesting to see where they kind of go forward from here.
I mean, it was always Vanderbilt and then everybody else for the most
Yeah.
part, and it just mattered who got hot in the postseason. But Vanderbilt was always at the top of the conference. Do you think NIL has negatively affected Vanderbilt baseball?
I feel like potentially, and I mean, obviously, I don't know enough about Vanderbilt baseball and the ins and outs of the program to really like speculate, but I don't know, maybe there is hesitancy on their part to like fully incorporate NIL funds like on a heavy basis towards baseball. Um, because they used to get phenomenal baseball players, phenomenal athletes over the Georgias or the Alabamas that are now becoming pretty solid, consistent programs. Um,
That is
in sort of
true.
this power vacuum, right? And I mean, like Auburn's always had a good baseball team, but I think this year they were definitely better than most
I mean, you
people
definitely had the surge of
would think.
Tennessee in the same state
Yeah,
too.
exactly, exactly. So, um, I don't know. Maybe with Tennessee regressing a little bit this year, that'll help Vandy kind of reclaim its top dog status in
Yeah.
the state. But I definitely think like winning an SEC championship or making a deep run in Omaha will help them because it feels like it's been a few years since we've really like talked about Vanderbilt as a serious national title contender. Excuse me.
For sure. And I mean, every single school you just listed massive pockets for NIL. So maybe it's not a case of Vanderbilt not spending the money. It's just not spending as much as some of these other teams now who, they're like Alabama's, they're getting all their money from football. Georgia, same
Yeah, yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Texas, just money galore, regardless of if they're good at sports or not. And LSU, massive athletic program. So I mean, you have all these big teams that we now look at the past year or two. LSU, not last year, to
No.
be a great example, but everybody else, I mean, all national seeds going into regionals. Um, so I mean, that just kind of goes to show you how some of that part of the landscape has changed. Interesting to see if Vanderbilt gets back on top and the aforementioned LSU and South Carolina. South Carolina now under a first year coach who also just missed actually a national seed,
Yeah.
but went to Omaha not too long ago in the state of South Carolina with a different team. Okay. I think that that's our baseball
Yeah.
talk. Again, congratulations, Oklahoma. And we will see how things go through. I don't think that Oklahoma repeats next year. I'm just going to say it right now.
Probably not. No. You never know, but I would bet
Never know.
against it.
Never know. But yeah, I can't make that joke. Anyway, all right. On to the NCAA rules. Obviously, they have been quite busy with things this off season. We now have kind of a little bit more guidelines into our post-COVID world and NIL world. They have for sure come out with our eligibility requirements and or timeline. Um, your clock starts when you're 18 years old and or when you enroll into college. So you have 5 years from that point, whether it's 18 to 23, or if you go into school at 16 or 17, you have 5 years from that point too. They are hard and fast on that. That will begin in the 2027 season. So, what's the kid's name from Alabama? He went early. He would be an example of
Yeah.
your clock starting early. The wide receiver. Why am I not?
Ron Williams.
Yeah, Brian Williams. I was about to say Jeremiah Love, and I was like, I don't think so. But yeah, so very interesting there. I can't really say I love it, excuse me, because if you're someone who, let's say you go directly into the workforce, or let's say you are playing a different sport and you never go to college. Well, you finish that sport, you do your work, and then you come back to college at a later point, 25, even 30 years old. You're like, hey, I'm going to play X sport that I either have never done or a different sport from what I did in what I was doing previously.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think that should count toward eligibility because, well, you never played it. And
Right.
I mean, everyone has different circumstances in life for what your timeline is going to be. This cut and dry 18 to 23, to me, it almost makes college an extension of like youth sports. And then it's like, okay, it's U23 now. And then, and then that's it. And then you go pro or you don't.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I don't really love it. I mean, even before COVID, uh, I mean, you could have a kid go into college at 19 years old, get a red shirt, and then still play 4 more years from that point. So I mean, he's a 24-year-old senior,
Right.
25-year-old senior. That did happen. Those were the old guys in the locker room, like, but that did happen. And this totally changes the game from that. So I can't really say I love it, and I can't say I love the fact of, someone goes to school later and they're like, hey, I want to join the tennis team, or hey, I want to join the golf team. They can't do that anymore. And I think that's kind of a miss that maybe they missed, or maybe they just don't care enough to address. But that is a negative for me with this rules change. I agree the COVID needs to be locked down a little bit, because if we're going to still treat it like old college sports, it can't just be this wide open thing. Otherwise, just make it its own league.
Yeah.
I wasn't totally opposed to that if they were just going to blow it all open,
Uh,
but that's not what they want to do. I feel that they brought it back a little bit too much. Am I just out to lunch on this one, Pat? Or
I feel like I don't know. I feel like it makes sense from the perspective of, let's say, like a Diego Pavia situation, right? Where like he starts at a JUCO, then transfers in New Mexico State, and then like tries and tries and tries and tries and tries to keep playing, right? Like I get trying to eliminate that aspect of things, right? So you're
mm-hmm.
not having guys who have played, I don't know, 5 seasons, right, of college football and then claiming that they have extra eligibility because of XYZ region. Like I get that aspect. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. Like, I don't love the fact that um, if I go to college and then have to drop out and decide to go back, and I'm 26 and I have 3 years, let's say, of eligibility, technically, I can't play a sport at all, right? Like, who knows? Maybe I wasn't even practicing said sport like at a high level when I had to drop out, and I'm just looking to sort of get back into it and regain like normalcy in my life. Like I don't love it from that perspective. Um, I know that they did put in an exception for, I think, like pregnancy and military service as well as religious missions. So maybe we'll start to see a lot of tweener athletes go on religious missions for a year, right? Bulk up while they're away, spreading the good word, and then come back ready to contribute at a high level. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see about the certain team pipeline there.
Uh,
Could be interesting.
I don't want to
Uh,
call out any denominations or programs. So.
if oh my goodness, oh goodness, and the military academies, of course.
Yeah, of course, of
Military
course.
academies, of
Yes,
course.
yes.
All right, let's move on from this topic as quick as possible before Crumble Cookies comes at us. Another thing that noted change was the transfer portal. Um, it's a little bit shorter now.
Mm-hmm.
The dates are a little bit more like confined. Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think it like moves the needle a ton, but like, I don't think it's a catastrophic
Yeah,
decision either. So
yeah, it's not like a bad move. It's not like an overly great move. It's just kind of
a move.
a good enough move. Okay. Yeah, same boat there. And last thing, our realignment for conferences looks like it is very much on a fast track now.
Mhm.
We are still multiple years away from most of these TV deals for these conferences coming back up again. Obviously, the Big Ten and SEC both just swapped and made even more money. Um, ACC, I believe, is technically the next up, but it does
Yeah,
not look like they will make it to that point. Clemson, Florida State. What are the blanking on the other ones now? I believe it was Virginia. There was another team too. That's like they're gone. Was it Georgia Tech? It might have been Georgia Tech.
maybe Georgia Tech. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that conference is very much on its last legs. I
hanging on.
am a little surprised it actually has made it with everyone to
Yeah.
2026. I thought for sure, mainly Florida State. I thought Florida State would have already jumped ship.
Hmm.
Maybe not to a conference because it didn't seem like there were really any takers there, at least at the time. Big Ten was already with their dance partners. SEC was more than content with just taking Oklahoma and Texas. We could maybe see Florida State go independent for a few years, but I mean, they've already sued the conference, I think, 2 times in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
That's just kind
It's
of done.
not a
I
great
think
relationship. Yeah.
I think that if they can just get a good enough running mate in probably a Georgia Tech or a Clemson to A, go independent with them, or B, finally squeak in. I mean, you never know. Like, I think that if the ACC, you have these teams like Clemson and Florida State, if they even go to the Big 12, that would probably be enough to really like lift that conference up in a full portfolio sense
Yeah. Yeah.
to be just right there with the Big Ten and the SEC. They're still the third best conference of those three,
Yeah.
but right now it is Big Ten, SEC, and then a large gap.
Yeah. And I mean,
Big
at
12.
least if they did make that move hypothetically, UCF is in the Big 12 now, so there's a in-state rival, let's say.
Yeah.
For Florida State, not too far of a travel restriction for Clemson. West Virginia is also not terribly far for Clemson if this became a reality. So
Mm-hmm.
there's options here if they decide to continue to consider their options outside of the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Now, let's obviously these are all hypotheticals, but if we get the more than likely of pairing of Clemson and Florida State to leave, do we see everyone else jump ship? Do we think that any of these like bigger
Mm.
teams stay and just try and be that conference anchor?
I feel
My
like,
main thing would be Miami.
yeah, I feel like Miami would probably look to leave as well. But I do think the North Carolina schools would probably stay, particularly because those schools have pretty rich programs in non-revenue sports.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really make sense for them to join, let's say, like the Big Ten if you're in North Carolina, and have your men's soccer team having to fly to Seattle, Washington, right, for a game. Um, when North Carolina has been a pretty consistent soccer team over the years, both in men's and women's soccer. Duke,
Especially women's.
obviously, yeah, especially women's. Duke, obviously, is a super strong lacrosse school, right? And that's not exactly like a huge sport across the country. Um, so
Yeah.
I could see the North Carolina schools staying and trying to at least like keep it afloat for a few more years. If the ACC did hypothetically fall apart in this scenario, But I definitely think Miami would jump ship. Um, and I think if Clemson and Florida State left, you would also see Notre Dame dissolve their
Agreement.
unofficial partnership agreement,
Yeah,
whatever you want to call it, with the conference as well, because that's significantly hurting their football strength of schedule if they can't guarantee those two huge opponents.
for sure. And my final hypothetical for you with the ACC, there was this conference once upon a time in the football landscape of the Big East, which then split to the American.
Yeah.
Let's say that we have this football exodus of the ACC.
Oh gosh.
Is it too crazy to think that the Big East comes back? Maybe not as the Big East, but in partnership with the ACC as a
New
football conference
conference.
again.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I think they would have to call it something different because the current iteration of the Big East has already like committed to be like, except UConn, like basketball only schools, right? Obviously, UConn coming back kind of shifted that, but now the rumors out.
ACC Power UConn.
Yeah, but now, I mean, now the rumors out that UConn might be looking to join the Big 12 soon. So like, there's a lot of moving parts here. Um, I would not be surprised though to see maybe like I don't want to call it a super conference in terms of like talent, but like in terms of size, formed where we see like the remnants of the ACC and whatever is the American at that point, join together and form a newer conference, right? I don't know, maybe we resurrect the AAC name, but tweak it. American Atlantic Conference. I don't know. But
With Stanford
I
still.
don't see the schools that were Big East schools in the past going back to the Big East, right? Like I don't see Syracuse or Boston College being welcomed back into that conference with open arms, or even Pitt, because of kind of the way that everything got so messy at the end.
Now, okay, one team that maybe could be okay with this and they would go back. Rutgers. They're on a multiple year deficit in the Big Ten. They're losing
Yeah.
money left and
Um,
right.
I don't know why Rutgers is in the Big Ten, because
They don't know why they're in the Big Ten. They're just
clearly,
kind of
like,
stuck.
they kind of got looped in there because the Big Ten wanted the New York market for television, right? But like Rutgers
They
football,
forgot to pay them for it.
yeah, Rutgers football is not exactly a draw. Um, and I don't know, Rutgers hoops is up and down. Like the Rack's an awesome place to watch a game, but um, they're super inconsistent over the past 20 years. You never really know what you're gonna get.
I mean, I think they're 36 mil in the hole over the last 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Yukon model would make a lot of sense for them. Join the Big East and everything except football. Go independent for football, and just schedule okay-ish teams, so
Yeah.
you can beat them, make a bowl game, and then I don't know if you're Jim Mora, get a job that you may or may not be super qualified for. So,
Husky football, baby. Yeah. No, I think that would, for Rutgers, probably be best for everyone. And that would free up a spot
in
for
the Big Ten, yeah.
the Big Ten that there's may or may not be a certain dance partner ready to
I was gonna say,
slide in.
I think they would have the program in mind for that, and I think that
Yeah.
program,
Well, the program is certainly having them in mind. We'll see
yeah,
about the conference actually does.
yeah,
That would be a new market for them, and it would make sense. However, the Big Ten very much drug their feet on that the first time. We'll have to see. I'm sure probably as we get to bowl season this year, we will start to really hear the rumors coming out.
for sure.
And quite possibly next year, we will see some, maybe not all these teams, but a couple of these teams be in their new conferences. It's just going to be really weird because this is all happening outside of actual alignment times.
Yeah.
Who did I just think? There was another team I just thought about that was, not Southern Miss, Louisiana Tech, who had 20 games on their schedule until like 3 weeks ago
Yeah.
because of conference realignment. Might see some of those. Would love to see a midweek Wednesday matchup in
I
between conferences.
don't think the players' health would love to see that, but
That hey, who needs Maction when you're getting double conference play in a
Yeah.
given week? All right, we'll move on, and that will be an issue for next season now. We do have our one fond farewell from the Pac-South Conference this year, and that is Florida State. Florida State was one of our temporary teams who, for one reason or another, some teams get renewed. If you win a given sport, you automatically get renewed. Florida actually came in at the buzzer. We'll talk about them a little bit more in a moment, but they get their renewal. But Florida State, the one team leaving for next year, so a big fond farewell to them. 1 point away from baseball. Florida just barely edged them out, and it's kind of funny that the rival kicks out the rival by 1 point in
Yeah.
baseball. That's really the difference between those two. Florida State, pretty fun. Obviously disappointing in men's basketball and football. Really did not see football going the way that it did,
No.
given their start.
Yeah.
I thought that they were at least going to be decent. I didn't think that they were going to be playoff team good, but I mean, 8 wins. I thought that 8 wins be halfway respectable, but not a good year. Mike Norvell somehow keeps his
I
job.
was going to say it's crazy that he's still employed. But that contract buyout, I mean, I guess the university doesn't want to pay it, which understandable. But
I
yeah,
mean, that was a bad, not a bad hire, but that was a bad renewal
yes,
that they gave
yeah.
him.
I mean,
They saw a glimmer of hope
I was
and
going to
just
say
threw a whole bunch.
the Travis year obviously was a magical season. You know, I was there for the Florida State Miami game that year, and Doak was rocking, but I think it was a little bit rushed to give that extension, especially at the money that they gave him. And I mean, if we want to go there, we can go there real quick. I feel like South Carolina, if this year doesn't go great, could be in the same conversation with Shane Beamer, right? Like, obviously, not last season, but 2 seasons ago was a great run, and
Mm-hmm.
a great ride. And should you have immediately thrown that contract extension out there, right? Like, I don't know.
I mean, Beamer's like the 2010 Giants. Even year, he has a good year. So we're going into an even year. It's be interesting to see. I mean, he also lost the bowl games that were in the odd year. So the Gator Bowl against Notre Dame, that was next year. He did lose that game. Beamer just hates odd numbers. It'd be interesting to see what South Carolina does do with him, because I think that if this is a 500 club, yes, they do have a very tough schedule, and next year even tougher.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, it's very tough to say it's time to make a change and go into a rebuild at that point. But just at what point is enough enough?
And I think, I don't know, I know we're off topic at this point, but I think the length of the Beamer contract is also kind of a albatross, I guess you could say, in these considerations, because it is through 2030, right? It's not like it's like through 2028, you're just dumping the last 2 years. Like, you're going to have to eat a pretty significant portion of that buyout if they decided to fire him after this year and it goes poorly and blah, 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 blah. But back to Florida State, TJ. Sorry.
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, we're talking about the same thing, wearing a different hat at this point. Yeah, I mean, both schools could be in very dire straits. I mean, we see some other teams in our conference, and that will be going into next year in a Florida, who, like Florida State, like South Carolina, had lots of questions, especially in the middle of the season when you realize this year's really not going how we thought it would.
Yeah.
And Florida did go with, okay, we're going to get rid of Napier. They go out, they get a guy. I think this is a great hire in John Summerall. I think that he has the opportunity to do a lot of good things in Florida. I think this year is going to be a big,
It's going to be a growing year.
yeah. I mean, because they could be good, but I have to say, like, if you get 5 wins at Florida, I would still take that as a win. This is going to be a very tough first year for Summerall. Obviously, bowl game is always
It's an
the
expectation at Florida. Yeah.
the expectation, but if I'm a Florida fan with how things have gone as of late, and really unless I'm forgetting something in there, since Jim McElwain's first year when they made it to Atlanta. That was 2014. Things have not been the Gators' way. They've had glimpses like 2 years ago, DJ Lagway, but not what Florida fans would come to expect over the last 3 decades. So I think that
Dan
it's
Mullen had kind of decent year or two.
yes,
COVID year,
yes.
they don't throw a shoe at a guy. I mean, they could be competing for a national championship.
Dan Mullen has gotten more media slander than what he deserved, and it really tarnished his image because it was actually not bad.
Solid. He just had one down year.
Yeah. And he's still coaching really good at UNLV. And I mean, he's fighting off Power 4 schools for recruits. So, all right. Yes. Fair point. Anyway, Summerall, make it to a bowl game. I think that if you have an upset here and there and you don't blow too many games, the thing with Florida is you can win all your games that you're supposed to and lose all the games you're supposed to. And I think it's 4 wins this year. So, tough year for the Gators. We'll see how it goes. It's year 1. Try not to lose your mind. Okay, enough about coaches. We'll do a little bit of our Pac-South recap for our finale right here. So obviously, Duke really impressed this year.
Yeah.
They win college football. They win men's basketball. Good showing in women's basketball too. South Carolina takes that one. And then, as I mentioned before, Florida beating Florida State by 1 point to win the baseball championship. The baseball championship or series, it's only Florida schools. If you weren't a Florida school, you weren't competing. Like Oregon State, if they were in a conference, they probably would have been a little bit higher.
Yeah.
New Mexico made noise, then didn't, then made noise again. Just too far away. But UCF, great year in the Big 12 as well. Definitely didn't end up doing what they thought they were going to. But I mean, when you're up there with a Florida and a Florida State, and you're doing something pretty good. I would expect UCF to maintain a top spot in the Big 12 next year.
Yeah.
Duke basketball, that's just Duke basketball. The women should be good again next year. The men, we don't really know. They're going to reload. I'm sure they're going to put something on the court representing the Blue Devils quite well. Football, though, is the biggest interesting point for me. I don't see Duke winning it again, obviously, with the Darian Mensah saga.
Yeah.
Who is at quarterback this year for Duke?
It is the San Jose State transfer. Oh, come on, Pat. San Jose State transfer.
Quarterback number 12 from San Jose State.
Hold on. I was just texting with my friend who's our Duke guy about this.
Yeah, Manny Diaz, I have to say, great job at Duke so far. I mean, he took over Miami in a fireball with getting Mark Richt fired, the way things kind of worked out, and also other things. It not working out, him moving on from Miami, landing at Duke finally, and just really instilling a good culture. And the worst loss of the year was Illinois. I mean, they got just as many yards as Illinois did. They turned the ball over like 7 times, though.
Walker Eget.
There we go.
He's actually pretty good, too.
I think that if I'm a Duke fan, realistically speaking, the same win total that I had last year, this upcoming year, is a win.
Yeah.
That's just not going to win you the ACC, and that's probably not going to win the Pac-South this year based on just teams that we expect to progress.
Right.
I would not be surprised if Washington continued to grow. I mean, they finished quite well in the Pac-South Conference. They had a really good bowl game win against Boise State. I mean, that was kind of never a game. Damon Williams is actually coming back at quarterback for them.
He is.
Which, not just big for our conference, but it's just big for the Huskies in Big Ten play.
For sure.
I think they could be a sleeper in the Big Ten.
Really? Really?
I think that they could be. Now, I mean, the snooze might be set still, but they're still a sleeper.
I don't know. Like for me, what scares me about Washington is the road thing. Since they've joined the Big Ten, I think it's been pretty well publicized their road struggles. I know it wasn't as bad last year, but their first year in Big Ten play, um, they went 500 um, overall and won all of their home games and lost all their road games. Right?
And neutral, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because even they had a game against Washington State literally 3 miles from campus at
At
Lumen
Lumen,
Field for
yeah.
the Seahawks, and they got the brakes beat off them. So yeah, that is a very funny and interesting thing. I mean, I guess we could go back and look at Jed Fish teams in the past. Maybe he's just not a very good prepper for away
True,
games.
true.
Um, but yeah, I feel like they bucked the trend. Also, that being said, like they do have a decently favorable schedule as it comes to like having to play the bigger teams.
Yeah,
They do have Indiana at home. I believe that is actually the last game of the year for those two teams. So
that should be a
really
pretty interesting
weird
matchup. Yeah,
timing. Yeah, I mean, I think that you could have a potential playoff bubble team in Washington playing a probably top three team at that point, Indiana. I mean, they're almost certainly going to come in at number one this year. I don't see how they get out of the regular season without one loss, maybe two. Two loss Indiana is still easily in the playoff for me. I mean, they've been one of the best teams the last 2 years. They won a national title and they go, 11-1 the year before. I mean, Signetti's got them rolling. It's impressive.
yeah.
So, I mean, Washington, I would be on the lookout for. I mean, I think they could really be 9-2 going into that Indiana game, and you get an upset there, you're probably in the playoffs. So there's kind of a slight pick for my college football Pac-South team next year. And I need to ask, and since I've been going on about stuff for next year, I'll give it
Hmm.
to you here. Who impressed and also disappointed you from our Pac-South this year?
So is this across the board or football specific?
This will be across the board.
Across the board. Okay. I feel like Duke is the easy answer for surprise because I don't think either of us saw them as our Pac South winners for football.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that though. I feel like that's like a cop out. I feel like that's a cop out answer. Um, in terms of pleasant surprise, maybe I'll just go with um, a team that didn't really like blow the doors off in baseball, but was really consistent in basketball and football in New Mexico. Because they definitely overachieved in football with Coach Eck coming in to a fairly depleted roster and really like coaching his ass off. Right? Might have to censor
Yeah.
me there. Uh, and like getting that team to really just give it their all on that field for him, play fantastic football in a really entertaining Mountain West race last year. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with New Mexico for my biggest surprise. And for biggest disappointment, I will go with a team that we are keeping in the conference, but they're on thin ice. And that is the Charlotte 49ers. I did not expect them to be as bad as they were in football last year. I thought with Tim Albin coming in from Ohio, like I knew he's kind of like a slow build guy, but I did not expect that tough of a first season. I don't think most Charlotte fans and alumni expected that tough of a first season. So they will be my choice for biggest disappointment. Primarily because of that. I also thought that their basketball team underachieved. Obviously, they have moved
Yes.
on from their
Big time.
basketball coach since. And their baseball team is super up and down. So they were kind of like fine enough, I guess, this year, but didn't really do anything to
I mean, even then, in a
fire.
wide open American conference, like there's really only two teams in there that can play ball, and I mean they didn't show up for either of
No.
those weekends, and even matchups that you're like, they probably should win that. They're splitting or they're losing 2 out of 3. The only time I was like, yeah, they're going to get swept here. They proved me wrong, and that was the UAB series.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, that was the only real time that Charlotte was like, we're going to play, and it's like it's the last weekend of the year. I'm going to try not to just totally agree on the Charlotte pick, but it's going to be hard not to. So I'm going to come back. I am going to totally agree on New Mexico, though. That was such a fun team to watch this year. Football with Jason Eck was just an incredible story. I'm so looking forward to next year in the Mountain West, where they are probably going to be playing against North Dakota State for the conference title.
That'd be awesome.
That's
I'm all
crazy
in.
to think. Yeah, it's crazy to think. I mean, North Dakota State has been a great program for years. We have the sickos have all been asking for this, and we've finally gotten it. I hate that it's happening as we have this realignment for the Pac-12 and New Mexico. As I've fallen in love with them over the past few years, seeing them have a chance to finally probably get their roses. The road is clear for them, and then here come the Bison. So that'll be really fun to watch. But New Mexico football, great story. Basketball was a lot of fun to watch as well, making the Final Four in the NIT. You could argue that was underachieving for them. They probably should have been in the main tournament. Obviously would not have had the run that they did in that tournament, likely a round of 32 or maybe a Sweet 16, but still would have been a lot of fun for the Lobos. The women's team, not a bad year, could have done a little bit better. And baseball started off red hot. They were one of the 3 undefeated teams remaining with a Texas and a Southern Cal. 2 of those teams made it to the Super Regionals. One of those teams did not make a regional. Unfortunately, very streaky for the Lobos, but still a lot of fun, and made their conference tournament in a conference that does not qualify everyone immediately. You do have to play into those. So, I mean, all around, great year for New Mexico athletics. They just did not fully show up on our scoreboard for that. Disappointment. You raise a point as I not so subtly acknowledge your nudge.
What message? I didn't say anything.
Yeah. Central Michigan. That is a great call out by you. It's just disappointing all the way around for them. I mean, football, you had a little bit of success, but then also once they got to that point, they just laid an egg. Basketball was one of the worst men's teams in a while, especially for the Chippewas. But
tough.
Just I mean, I think that if you put them against Delta Valley State, probably would have been a good game. And Delta Valley State has won 5 games of this decade.
Yeah.
So really bad for them. The women's team a little bit better. Obviously, still nowhere near a tournament, but at least they were somewhat close to 500. Baseball, not the bottom of our conference, because luckily for Central Michigan, we had a lot of bad baseball teams in our conference this year. But you're playing in the MAC. You shouldn't have to really struggle like that for series wins, and they did more times than not. So, yeah, Central Michigan and Charlotte, in that matter, both big-time disappointments.
Yeah.
Charlotte takes the cake, though.
I was going to say,
I mean, they finish in the bottom of the barrel. I think let me double check this. They finished bottom 3 in every sport except baseball, because they had that late series win.
Say, they kind of pushed at the end. Yeah.
They were able to miss the bottom 3 by 10 points, but they were, I believe, second to last going into the final couple weeks of the season. So
tough.
Bad for Charlotte. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, football has to make a turnaround. Otherwise, I don't know what the answer is there. That'll be a very good one to closely follow. And then, Pat, we almost definitely answered this. earlier, or at least made a prediction in a sport that will not have it. But do you have any repeat champs next year?
Mm,
We obviously are going to have a couple more sports. We'll get into those specifics, but of the big four that we covered this year,
I'm going to say two
two.
repeat champs. Yeah.
Okay.
I will say South Carolina for women's basketball. Pretty confident about that. And I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
Duke for men's basketball will repeat because Duke is always a really consistent basketball program on the men's side and in recent years the women's side as well. Um, and I'm just not really sure what the ACC is going to be like at this point next year, right? I mean, like North Carolina will be solid. Like it'll be a good conference, but I think it'll be Duke's conference to kind of boss around a little bit once again next year. So give me those two in hoops to repeat.
Okay. I do like South Carolina to repeat. That is my only champion I think will repeat. I think Florida takes a little bit of a step back in baseball. I don't think that they get on top.
Agreed.
Duke, they have to reload. They're always good. It's just I really don't know for next year. So I can't confidently go with that. I know Duke's football is not going to win it again. If they do, Manny Diaz might find himself in the Southeastern Conference in
Yeah.
a year's
Yeah.
time. But yeah, I like South Carolina women's basketball a lot. Dawn Staley, you can never count her out. Yes, they're losing a lot of production from this past year, but Dawn rotates a lot of those girls in and out. I mean, she gets what she needs from the portal, and also she works her depths very well. So when it's time for them to take the start, they're ready to go, a la a Joyce Edwards this year.
Mm.
I do say so. Since I talked about college football, I will give a little bit of a throw this out there, cast a little line. Men's basketball, Iowa State.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Iowa State,
Even
the
with
Big 12 conference.
even with
Big 12
Momcilovic
conference lost a
leaving?
lot. All right, hear me out here. I'm basic. So they're already a dark horse going into next year. There's a lot of question marks still. Not as many as Duke,
For sure.
but as I look around the conference in the Big 12 for basketball, it's a lot of points on the table for Iowa State. A lot of good wins, possibly. I mean, Houston lost like their entire roster.
True.
I mean, they're another team that they will probably be able to reload, but I think that you can't not look at the Big 12 next year and go, Iowa State's
I like
probably
it.
still at the top of that conference. Duke will be too, but in what way?
Fair enough.
Cyclones. All right, Pat, I think that will do it as I leave town in a cyclone. Um, that does it for the 25-26 season of the Pac-South podcast. This was a ton of fun. I'm so looking forward to it. We will be off for the next 3 weeks. We will be then back with our previews, our new schools, our new teams, rules, lots of new things, lots of stuff to talk about. Hopefully, we can leave all of our other topics from this past year, Pat.
I got one last thing I want to say as our goodbye thing. Obviously, they are not in our conference, Division Two, but I want to give a shout out to my alma mater, Flagler College. Our men's tennis team won the national championship this year, so go Saints!
Beautiful. All right. To Flagler College and everyone that listened this Pac-South season, thank you all so much, and we will see you all for the 26-27 season.